بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبو القاسم محمد وعلى بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. And so, first of all, we want to once again thank all of the brothers and sisters who put forth the effort to come to the Majlis of Imam Hussain, put forth the effort and donated their time and their money to acquire a good building for us and to gather in, and to create schools and other things so that the word of the Ahlul Bayt would be mentioned in every corner of the globe. Please give us salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The second, we also want to remember all of the brave young men and young women who recited some Quran for us today to help us get started on the right foot. Please give us salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So we're continuing with going down this from the khutbah of Fatima Zahra, salam Allah alayha, and she is mentioning these different important parts of Islam and also not just mentioning them, but also giving some of the reasoning behind any of these things that she's mentioning. So the next on her list was sabra ma'una ala istijab al-ajr. So she says that this is another thing which we've been commanded, is that we're patient with misfortune, and this will draw reward to us. So one of the important things we have in Islam that all of us know, and it's emphasized a lot, is this concept of patience. Now, the first thing that we notice with the concept of patience is that it goes against the culture that we have right now. That the culture that we have right now is all about instant gratification. It's all about personal indulgence. So the first and most important thing in the culture that we're living in this Western capitalist culture, which they say that this is the highest that human beings can reach to, the highest with no high above that, is that we live in a culture which is motivated by greed, indulgence, and instant gratification. It is a shocking thing to say. It is a shocking thing that they would even think such a thing. That the greatest and highest human emotion is greed and self-indulgence. I mean, people have never said that even in the past. That me getting what I want right now as soon as possible. This is one of the things that is sure to make you a slave. Because sometimes what some people say, no, I don't want any money. Yes, but they would like to have their idea. Their idol is their idea, their nafs. And being right, you're just feeling as if they're right, is the most important thing. Above all else, this is why they have these people that they say, oh, I'm going to change my pronouns, right? And I'm going to inconvenience every single other person that I meet for the rest of my life. That they should call me by a word that doesn't exist in English, the language that I'm in, or any other language, because it indulges my vanity. And this is the highest point of the human experience. That we're going to inconvenience everybody else. Another person, his indulgence is money. So that I can come over and I can fly my wife and her friends into space is more important than all other human beings going starving in the world. No, my personal indulgence, that's what I wanted to do with my fun. It was my money and it's mine. What's really interesting with this capitalist indulgence system is You're not able to make money unless the other people cooperate with you. Like human creation, we know instinctively that there's a little bit of a give and a take. I respect what's yours, right? So we're all in the jungle and you cordon off a little piece. I respect that this is your personal property. But also, there's a duty that you have as a brother human that you also take care of me to the best that you can. So it's my duty to take care of myself, but in the times where there's excess and less, that those who have more take care of their brother human beings from their excess, not from what he needs. But we understand that instinctively. We're driving down the road, somebody's on the side, I do have time to stop, I realize they're in trouble and nobody else can help them. All human beings think, no, that's your duty to actually. It's not just no, you say, no, I have time. I'm not doing anything with my time. I have a pickup truck, you have a flat tire, I can take it to the garage, take that tire and bring it back to you. We feel that as a human being. And it's very interesting that the Zalimeen, when there's an issue that their money can't solve, then they say we need to pull together as humans to help each other. How come they didn't, they're like, no, when it's something like medical care for you, every man for himself. Something they need, because security has broken down. Oh, the neighborhood needs to gather together to prevent looters from coming in. Why don't you hire some guards to prevent looters from coming? I remember I was making this argument. Someone said, no, what we need is, we don't need to have any government interference except for law and order. I said, why should I pay taxes for law and order? I have a really big family. I have a lot of brothers. And if anybody tries to take my stuff, me and my brothers will beat them up. So I don't need law and order. So I'm paying for a service that I don't want and I don't need. Because they have money, so they don't want to have health care or something like this, because I can buy it. So why should I pay money out of my taxes for a service which I don't want and I don't need? This is theft. But they want the judge, because they want, if someone steals their stuff, they want the police officer if someone steals their stuff, so they actually don't believe it. They want to pay for some things. They want the public to pay for the things which they want, and they don't want to pay for the things that the other people don't want. Because if you think about it, each one has, if you're very poor, you don't really care that much about law and order and judges. I don't have anything for anybody to steal, so what if, what if we have a judge? We don't need an FBI. We don't need this, that, or the other, because I don't have anything. I need maybe a farm. If we had food security might be more important. So we're now, as Muslims, we're fighting against this culture, which has now reached to its highest point, that a vanity project, which is the Zionist regime, is a vanity project. Yes, it has some sort of military applications and blah, 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 but a lot of it is just a vanity project. They have people who don't even live there bribing the politicians here to go over and do murders in another country. And also pointlessly. Like, it's not, okay, well, there's some sort of strategic thing. No, just murders in the other country. A vanity project. That's the highest form of capitalism. And they say that this is the best that humankind as a species can do. So Islam is coming against that. Even if when you look, sometimes the ayat of the Quran talking about these people, they would say things, some of them is like, Inni ahlaktu malan lubada. These like Abu Jahals and, Walid bin Mughira and stuff. That I wasted so much money. That would be a source of pride. On what? People dying in the streets? No, I didn't waste my money on that. They would blame Abu Talib because he would spend his money on that. Where would they spend their money? Oh, I would go over and have a feast for my friends that nobody can have. And I only let in the richest and the most famous people to come to my feast, and we just ate and ate and ate until we just couldn't even move. People dying and we took the rest of the food and we chucked it out the window and let the birds eat it. People dying in the street. This was the culture that they were in. Wasting, israf, indulgence. The same culture that we have now. While people, they say that sometimes they're like, yeah, we have a homeless problem. We're having a homeless problem. Okay, what should we do? We should build more homes. Don't you know they have more empty homes than they have homeless people? So the homes are already there. They want to force the people to pay the mortgage. So they say if you don't pay your mortgage, they want to take your house. So that threat of death, that you be without a house and maybe you and your kids die in the street. Like, what kind of society does that? And that's the highest of society? Because they could say, okay, well, you can't pay for the house. That's fine. Tell the bank, I can't pay for it. And then we're going to give you some sort of small apartment or something like that that you can afford. You could make the society that way. You can't pay for this one. You don't need it anymore. You can't sell it. No, they want to make sure that you get thrown into the street, that you have that fear, a fear-based society. So the Ahlul Bayt is now advising us the opposite way, that we are going to have that the highest things in our society is reliance on Allah and patience. It's very interesting that this was a insurgent move. So we have something like the book of Sahifa Sajadiyah is a rebellious book. What, a rebellion against what? Indulgence and relying on tyranny. Because if you look into it, it's telling these people, like, be patient, use your own means and methods, and rely on Allah. They had gotten to the point of, because the society had become completely lost, they were go to these different tribal sheikhs, whoever they had, which is just basically their Bezoses and whatever at the time. And if you wanted something, you go and beg Abu Jahl. You wanted something, you go and beg Marwan ibn Hakam. Not Allah. They didn't have patience to work. They didn't have patience. They could know what was right and wrong, but if you don't have patience, you can know what's right and wrong all day, but you can't do it because you can't wait a few minutes for the system to work itself out. So when we look at patience, what does patience really mean? That patience, sometimes it means just, they say, sitting and waiting. No, it's not actually sitting and waiting in the sense, not passivity. But it's to be steady. Sometimes they translate the word as that. Having forbearance, to be steadfast, to be persistent, to keep your composure, to be continuous. They say the most powerful force in nature is water. But if you take a stone and you take water, you throw the water on the stone, nothing happens to the stone. Right? You take iron, you throw the water on the iron, nothing happens to the iron. Iron and stone are the things. I have a stone. I have iron. What can water do? Water is patient. Wears it down. You see all these cars outside? The salt ate them all up. The water got in there, broke down that iron. They have these rivers, they carve this valley that we're in is carved by the rivers, the glaciers. Maybe not 1 year, not 2 years, give it 5,000 years, it'll cut through anything. That Allah is showing us something with this, that we can cut through anything with that type of patience. To continue, patience really is to continue to do the right thing until Allah gives the result with perfect trust in Allah. They have a saying, this is an English saying, that patience achieves more than force. This is what some person said. Another one is, patience attracts, this is from Swahili, said, patience attracts happiness and brings near what is far. So you set out on a course, you deal with the consequences, you deal with the hardships, you deal with the trials, things keep coming, you just keep plugging away at it, plugging away at it, plugging away at it, plugging away at it, chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, and you get the result, but it takes some time. However, if you just sit and wait and you don't do anything, what happens? Nothing. Sometimes there's people are saying that one of the best things that a Muslim can do is intizar al-faraj, waiting for the imam. Right? A friend of mine, he said, if I show up at your house, we say that we're supposed to meet at a particular time. And I show up at the house and the lights are off, nothing's going on. I'm not sure if it's even the right door. I ring the doorbell, nobody comes. I ring it again, nobody comes. I leave, I come back, I ring it again, and then you get up, wiping the eye things out of your eyes. Yes, I was waiting for you. Say, no, you weren't waiting for me. You were asleep. The same with the imam. If you invite me to your house at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, something like that, let's say we say, okay, we're gonna go over, dinner is at 7, Sheikh. Okay, come at 7. Oh, shoot, let me go ahead and go start buying some things from the groceries, and I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna get the stove fired up. No, dinner is at 7. That means you had to have been getting ready. You have to have bought the stuff maybe 2 days ago. You had to have started cooking now. You have to have everything ready. I'm supposed to just show up and eat. I'm not supposed to show up and now I make the meal for you. It's like, oh yeah, you're here. MashaAllah, Imam Zaman is here. Okay, the Ashbas Khane is that way. The kitchen is that way. Go ahead and, do you need anything from the store while you're here, Maulana? We would say that's not waiting. We wouldn't say, oh, I'm waiting for the imam. You're not prepared. So when we're waiting for the imam and we're preparing for the imam, all of these little steps need to have already been done. I've been telling a lot of these different communities about this issue of being able to respect the local ulama. The reason I say this is not because I'm a local ulama. I sell flooring, so don't worry about it. I help out. So it's not for myself. But the concept is that if I can listen to a local alim within the little four walls of the masjid, then maybe I can listen to a request from an ayatollah. And if I can listen to a request from an ayatollah, then maybe I can upgrade to the imam. But if I can't listen, when the main discussion is, do we have chai before the salat or the chai after the salat? If I'm struggling with that, then how can it be like when the imam comes and he tells me to go to war or to go to peace, then I will be able to handle it? Like I can't handle the basics. That's why I said it was like training wheels. That if you couldn't handle the small thing, then you can't handle the big thing. One of the issues we had sometimes with this, when it came up, is this idea, which not everybody had, but some people had, that the imam is going to be like mustabid, like a hakim who rules by force. And even their concept of like, okay, if we have a sheikh in the masjid, then he should also rule by force. No, that's not how the wilayati system works. We had Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Now, every indication is that the Prophet was talking about Karbala from the time Imam Hussain was an infant, right? And he knew it, and Salama had the blood, and he had told them, and then besides, he's the Imam, so the Imam is going to be informed of our deeds, and X, Y, Z, depending on how you believe in that. He knew that this was going to happen. When Muawiyah died, passed his kingdom turned the khilafat, what was left of the khilafat, turned it into a kingdom and passed it to his son. Why did he ask Abdullah ibn Zubair and Abdullah ibn Abbas and Muhammad Hanafiya and all these other people, Abdullah ibn Ja'far, why did he ask their opinions? He could say, I'm the imam, I know what my duty is, I'm going to go to Karbala. Because it's sunnat with big decisions to ask the opinions of the other people as a leader. Multiple times, you see his interactions with his people, he gives people options, he's not forcing people to do things. Yes, it's the duty of the followers to follow. It's not that you're supposed to argue and make fitna and cause problems or something like that. Some people. But the idea that leadership is just sheer force, This is the explanation when they have this like, well, amr shura bainahum, that the affair is, they say, no, this means that deciding the imam is a shura. No, that's not what it says. The imam takes shura from the people. لو كنت فظا غليظ الانفر من حولك. That if you were a hard-hearted person, they would flee from away from you. So this is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa alayhi. With miracles, with everything, Allah is like, if you were hard on the people, then those people would flee from away from you. The Prophet, with miracles, perfect intelligence, and remember, these were like Bedouins and things like that. So the Prophet had the Sayyid al-Uqala, the most intelligent person ever. Why is he taking their advice? Because it's a sunnah of leaders to take the advice from their people. So like when we have this idea of wilayat, that the idea that it's some sort of brutal tyranny of ulama or something like that, and then it's going to go to the brutal tyranny of the imam. No, it's a system of mercy and love and kindness and duties and responsibilities. Much more like the successful families, the successful fathers. We've seen successful and we've seen unsuccessful, which is a mini system of wilayat, right? In this mini system of wilayat, the successful fathers are the ones that can get their families to buy into what they have planned. They have an idea, and they can get the wife and the kids and stuff to agree with it, that this is the goal of our family. We're going to try to be good Muslims. We're going to try to raise awareness. We're going to try to, raise the flag of the Ahlul Bayt in this land. And then the family buys in. The unsuccessful, either he does this by tyranny. I knew a lot of people who that's how they would run their family. He decide that, you know what, we're going to be good Muslims. We're going to, put Islam first, last, and all only. Wife doesn't buy in. Kids don't buy in. Don't know, don't care. Ram it through their throat. The family would break up after a bit because at some point they just can't take it anymore. And sometimes the kids would be trying, but it would just be so brutal and so harsh, that they just wear out. You just burn the engine out because you didn't take their feelings into account. You didn't bring them along with you. The other families that would fail, there is no plan. Dad, what's the plan for the family? Don't have a plan. He's just making money and spending the money. Just raising you guys. Okay, raising us to be what? Or sometimes he's not even raised. Sometimes the father's just indulging himself. Like he got married to indulge himself, has kids to indulge himself. The whole thing, the wife is asking for a plan, doesn't have a plan, doesn't want a plan, doesn't know what a plan is. Family falls apart. So you can go to either extreme on this. But the successful ones, they have an idea, they have a goal, they have somewhere where they want to be. They have a plan even that reaches to their kids and grandkids. This is where we want our grandkids to be. It's different when it's wilayati. You get a totally different result. But the tool for this is what? وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ إِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِئِينَ. That seek help with patience and prayer. What's patience? We said it was being steadfast, doing things the right way. Even sometimes it doesn't work. You see sometimes the wilayati system, you ask the person to do something, they rebel. You maybe try to get them back in, they don't do it. Okay, that's it. I trust in the system. And I'll give you an example of this. We had the example of Yusuf and Yaqub. Okay? So his sons come to him, they kidnap Yusuf, the dad warns them about their actions, they do what they want to do anyway, and then they جاء عليها بقبيس دم كذب. They brought with the fake blood, your son got eaten by a wolf. Now, ijit bil hujjah. They didn't just make kalam, they didn't just say, they brought proof. So now, in the system, he can't blame them. He knew their lie. But he has to be with the system of Allah. They brought proof. All of them made shahada together. So now you have a group of people making batil shahada, and they also brought evidence to back their case up. So it's very interesting his answer. He called them out. He said, Bal sawalat lakum anfusakum amran. No, your nafs caused you to make some kind of fake thing. But he didn't go kill them or something like that. He said, fasabrun jameel. That patience is beautiful. Oh, you went and you did it a tricky way? I'll accept the will of Allah in this case. I know you're lying, but I'll accept the will of Allah. According to the rules that we have, I can't go out of my way and use some other means, beat you guys up or something like, that's, there's tawhuts. The guy comes over and does something. Oh, I know he's actually a terrorist, but our laws say we can't torture him. Oh, we'll just torture him anyway, rip his fingernails out and stuff until he confesses, right? Then half the times the guy really didn't know anything. And half the times he did. But you tortured him. And then you destroyed whatever higher moral ground. And you didn't have the patience to say, then Allah hasn't given us a way. It's interesting, that's actually his thing. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ Allahu musta'anun ala ma tasifun. That Allah will be my help against what you're trying to ascribe. So then the sons went again and they came back. This is years, and then because he was patient with what Allah had decreed, Yusuf went and became a king. Yes, they were trying to destroy the family, but they actually set in motion events that Allah wanted to have happen, which is for Yusuf to become a king and work his way up and build that trust by working his way through the system. So this could only happen if Allah allowed that zulm to take place. Allah could have stopped it. They come over and they tell the lie, and then these guys, let's say that the caravan that picked up Yusuf was going the opposite direction. Instead of headed towards Misr, they were heading the other way, and they ran into his father and said, hey, we have this little boy. Oh, wait, that's your son? Okay, here you go. If Allah wanted it not to work, it wouldn't work. This is one of the things we were telling people about the shahadat of Sayyid Hassan. If Allah wanted it not to work, their trips and their tricks and their kaid and their traps and their this, Allah could stop it like that. If Allah wanted something else to happen, Allah can let it go through. So they think they're being smart, but Allah is letting them go when He wants them and holding them back when He wants to. We do our duty. So we take our precautions. That's our duty. That's after that, okay. Could they have found out if they went over, let's say that we realize that Israel is up to something. So they start murdering people and torturing people to try to find out. Yes, but then you would destroy the whole deen. They weren't patient. They weren't willing to work and be steadfast with the way of Allah. You destroy the whole thing, everything that you had built up, because what? You were ajul. But they were patient. And so Allah is going to give the result in His time. So then these same boys, they come back later on. This is after they go and they lose. Now they lost the second brother. They took Benjamin with them. They begged him to send Benjamin, but he was like, no, you guys, every time I send one of my sons with you, you lose him. They're like, oh, please, 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 this time it's going to be different. They're going to give an extra load of the extra camel, and we're never going to do such a thing again. Go lose Benjamin. They come back this time. This time they're telling the truth. And he's like, he says the same line again. Bal sawadat anfusakum amran fasabrun jameel. Said, now you are trying this again. And they're like, no, 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 no. Then Yusuf, Allah brings all of them back together because He's patient again. Another one of my things my teachers said, that they say, sabrun jameel. And he said, sabr isn't jameel, it's more. Sabr is bitter. Sabr is hard. Sabr doesn't feel good at the time that you did it. The reward and the beauty of the patience is at the end. Someone said that patience is dealing with hardships, but with a good attitude. It's not that you're not upset by it, but you don't have doubt about Allah. They said there was this one woman who went to paradise, and they said someone was like passing the graves, and he said saw this like grave was like filled with light and nur and this, that, and the other. And so he asked, he was like some like Arif person. So he asked the community, he said, who is in this grave? Why is it so amazing and so great? And they were like, no, it's just some woman. So he's asking until they say, no. This was a woman. She lived a normal life, normal wife, normal husband, but she always had a good idea about Allah. She never had doubt in Allah. This is one of the differences. So sometimes people say, well, we were talking earlier, and they said that Abdullah ibn Zubair also was shaheed. So like Imam Hussain, he got killed by Yazid, and then Yazid came down and killed Abdullah or Marwan ibn Hakam, one of those people, one of the taghuts. Allah knows the difference between them. For us, they're all the same. All of them are in the nar. But anyway, some taghut went and killed him. The difference is the sabr and the lack of doubts about Allah. Someone asked that. He's like, what's the difference? Other people got killed in history. Maybe more of them got killed than Imam Hussain. But did they do it beautifully? Did they keep their attitude? Did they have doubt about Allah during all of this? All of the martyrs were there. But Imam Hussain was the perfect martyr. Please give us salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah emphasizes this lesson again and again for us. You have Hazrat Nuh, that Allah could have destroyed his qawm in one day. But he gave them, when he asked for the help, Allah gave him a date seed. So he had to plant that seed, let it grow up the tree, then plant more seeds and let those grow up until he could get enough trees. And the date is a slow-growing fruit. Till he could get enough trees to make a boat and this, that, and the other. And then Allah gave him the faraj. We had the example of the prophet who wasn't patient. He did everything humanly possible. And remember, sometimes we're like, yeah, he really should have, held on a little. If you went and tried to do tabligh, and someone threw a rock at you, you would laugh at them the first day. We wouldn't put up with what the prophets put up with. They would go and do tabligh for years, get la'nated, cursed, and people throw rocks at them and call them names and try to kill them and stuff. So God knows what Hazrat Yunus went through before he finally was like, yeah, I've had enough. Right? But no, he was supposed to have been more patient. And patient with the command of Allah, that when Allah says it's time, then it's time. One of the things that we mentioned multiple times, Hazrat Ismail, and Allah describes him in the Quran. He was like talking about him and some other prophets. Wa Ismail, wa Idris, wa Dhal Kifl, kullun mina sabirin. That one of the conditions for faith is patience. There's a hadith that they say the position of faith, of patience to faith is like the head to the body. That if the head gets separated from the body can't live. And if patience is separated from faith, the faith can't live. Patience is the thing that munafiqeen and things like that can't fake. You have to go through trial after trial after trial after trial and to continue. Patience is necessary for growth. We have an example of this from the story of Hazrat Musa and Khidr. And Musa says to him, قَالَ لَهُ مُوسَى هَلْ أَتَّبِعُكَ, that perhaps I can follow you? My handwriting is bad. That's why. Sorry about this. أَلَا أَتَّعَلَّمَ مِمَّا عَلِمْتُ رُشْدًا, that I can follow what you have learned and grow from it. قَالَ لَهُ قَالَ إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. You won't be able to be patient with me. And what's he not being able to be patient from? And he gives him the answer. كيف تصبر على ما لم تحض به khabra. That, I'm sorry, ma lam tuhittu bihi khabra. And how can you be patient about what you don't know? Now, this is two things. So sometimes we as humans get confused between the Sharia and the will of Allah. We say this person did zulm, so by the Sharia he should get the uquba. This person did oppression, so he should get the punishment. Now, the will of Allah might be that he's supposed to last for a long time. Maybe Allah's getting something out of him, which I've seen a lot of times. Sometimes there's a bad person, but he's doing a good thing. So Allah will let him keep going and going and going because the thing that he's actually accomplishing is good for Islam. So he's bad and he has a lot of money. But maybe the money that he's spending is maybe as some Muslim employees. And so he's spending that money, employing a lot of Muslims, and that's advancing the cause of Islam. So the will of Allah and the Sharia don't necessarily line up. And then Khidr was trying to indicate to Musa that this is what's going to give you a struggle. That when you see that oppression is taking place, when you see that wrong people are being rewarded, when you see these things, this is going to be hard for you and you aren't going to be able to be patient with it. So when Musa is going with Khidr and the wall falls down and these are bad people, and then Khidr fixes it with no request of money. It's like, well, why are you doing this? He goes to another person and the person has a boat and Khidr punches a hole in the boat. And he's like, you're trying to kill the people. He goes and he sees someone and he kills him. And then Musa is like losing it. What are you doing? And then he starts explaining what Allah wants to have happen. That if the wall falls down, there's a treasure in it that I didn't want, that the orphans were supposed to get. If this people's boat gets kana wara'ahum malak ya'khudh kulla safinatin ghasba, that it was behind him a king who was taking away all of the boats. So maybe the fact that he was inconvenienced, which should make us, sometimes when we get inconvenienced, then we want to get angry at this person and that. No. Accept the will of Allah. Maybe because of this inconvenience, you would have went to work, you got hit by a car. Allah inconvenienced you to save you. If this business was successful, maybe the thing you would have spent the money on, maybe you weren't ready to handle the money. There was a person who was a mayor of a town in America, Detroit. And he became very successful and things like that. And then he became corrupt. And he was like the son of like an activist and things like that. And so people all trusted him. They trusted him with their money. They trusted him with their lives. And once he got in charge, he became corrupt, started committing crimes, stealing, giving to his girlfriends. I don't know, whatever corrupt people do. And then when they arrested him, he said something which is very interesting. He said, my talent got me to a place that my character wasn't able to handle. So sometimes when we have misfortune or something doesn't go our way, keep that in mind. Maybe if you get where you wanted to be, because Allah cares, if Allah didn't love you, He would let you get it. You go ahead and make your success, you're good, and take yourself to hellfire with it. Maybe because Allah cares about you, He's like, you know what, wait a few more years, get some more life experience, and then you'll have your success. You're going to be better off for it. So it's important for us to try to, and then it's another lesson which is that this process of learning we can take from this story is one is you have to be a little bit humble with the knowledge that you have, and you have to be patient with the teacher. That's something which is very interesting in the culture that I noticed that had started getting built up that was not very beneficial, is that the idea that the whole duty was on the teacher to be perfect and that the student didn't have to be patient with anything. It should just be like chewed food and stuck into their mouth. Rather than, no, you're going to have to be patient with some quirks. You're going to have to be somewhere where you don't want to be. You're going to have to the knowledge that I have to put it on hold for a little while I try to absorb this knowledge from this other person. So this is one of the things that opens up the doors for knowledge for us, that we are patient with the teachers, patient with the knowledge. Let us learn it. Everything now also is they wanted to be like quick, quick, quick. In the past, they didn't used to just have that someone would just get a book of hadith and read them all. Someone would actually read the hadith to him. It was a slower process, but he wanted to make sure that the person had got it right. So we're having to try to have that process. And also when we're teaching someone, we have to be patient with their quirks and their things when we're trying to pass that knowledge on to the next generation. Please give salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We had a hadith from Imam Sajjad that he says that there are 5 signs of a mu'min. Alamat al-mu'min khamsa. And they were like, what are they? Ma hunna yabna Rasulullah. He said, awara'a fi khalwa, that he is pious when he's alone. Everybody's pious when everyone's looking at them. He's pious when he's alone. Interesting though, if you're having struggles, be around other people as much as possible, but the right type of people. Sometimes people ask me, they're like, Sheikh, I'm having struggle with this or struggle with that. I'm like, be around other Muslims who won't let you do that. And this is one way of building yourself up. So your tests are smaller until you can be able to accomplish them. Was sadaq and sadaq fil qilla, that he's truthful. No, sorry, it's the next one. Sadaqa fi qilla, that he gives when he has a little. Was sabr inda al musiba, that he's patient at a time of hardship. Wal hilm inda al khadab, was sidq inda al khawf, and he holds his rage when he's angry, and he's truthful when he's afraid. So these are all things which are signs of a Muslim, and the thing that keeps them together is this trust in Allah. Trust and that ability to be patient. That if a person is able to be patient, that I don't have to indulge myself just because someone turned their back for a minute. We saw people who were like this. My wife is a teacher, and she said some of the kids have trained their brain that if anyone turns their back for a second, they have to steal. Like you can't just leave something on the desk. You can't leave something out because they steal it. They've just trained themselves to do that. They have no patience. They can't just, this is a person, this is their love, I have respect for my love. No patience. When what's his name? If they have a lot, they are able to give. If it gets tight, they don't even give what they're able to give from that tight amount. When they get angry, they have to act on it. And as soon as they're afraid, they immediately begin to lie. And then the big one is that when there is some sort of hardship, they immediately break down. They're not able to bear with it for a little while to get that reward that comes to an end, that comes at the end. We have the ayat of Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. لَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنْفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. So we shall try you with some amount of fear and hunger and less people, too little money and less people and fruits and food. And give glad tidings to the patient. Those who say whenever they're struck by a hard time that to Allah, we belong to Allah and to Him we return. Now, Someone pointed out to me that Allah is saying what He's going to try all of us with. Fear. Sometimes we're afraid. Are they going to do this to us? Are they going to do that to us? Sometimes we don't have enough to eat. Sometimes we don't have enough money. Are we going to keep going? Because patience isn't sitting and waiting. Oh, we don't have enough money, throw our hands up. No, you keep going and being steadfast during all of these times. But it didn't say atash, which is thirst. And Imam Hussain got tried with all of these things on an extreme level, and also Allah put on him that he was tried not only with hunger, but with thirst. That his companions and him were out in the desert, hungry, fearful, not enough people, and they were thirsty. This is a deep emotion. We can't survive without water. You can survive a certain amount of time without food, but you can't survive without water. You'll just shut down. It's too hot. It's too much for us. So this brings us to the story of Imam Hussein's nephew, Qasim, who's the son of Imam Hassan. So when everyone was going and fighting, Qasim was one of the people who Imam Hussain was keeping in the back because he reminded him of his brother Hassan. And Qasim would come, he was a very young man, and he would come and he would request, and he was barely old enough to fight. He would come and he would request, please my Imam, can you let me go and fight? When he kept asking him this way, the Imam kept saying, no, wait, this, that, and the other. You remind me of my brother. And he said, please, my uncle, let me go and fight. And then he remembered that his father had given him something that when he said that only open this at the most hard time. Only open what I've given you at the most hard time. And Qasim, being very, very Bawafa, he kept with his promise that he had made. And he said, now what time can be harder than this? What time can be harder than when my uncle is surrounded by enemies? His friends are being killed. People have abandoned him. He's hot. He's thirsty. He's suffering. And so Qasim opened it up, and it was permission to go and fight. And so he went back to his uncle and he said, can you give me permission to fight? I have this from my father, a letter that says that I have permission. So the Imam said, okay, if you ask me like this, I have to let you go and fight. So the Qasim went, he got his horse, and all of the people, all of the women, when they saw that he was going to fight, they started crying because they knew he wouldn't come back. So Qasim went out and he fought, and he killed many of these grown men and many of these heroes, and they began to flee from around him. So finally, one of the very, very evil people saw that he wasn't wearing armor. So he said, I promise you, his name was Amr ibn Sa'd al-Azdi. He said, I'm going to kill this young man. They said that he was glowing like the crescent moon. And someone was like, why are you wanting to kill him? Let someone else do it. He said, no, by Allah, I'm going to go and kill him. So when Qasim was fighting and he was distracted, he came up from behind and he attacked him and he chopped off his arm. And they said the arm was hanging. He was mostly chopped through. And he screamed, he said, oh, my uncle, help me. Oh, my Imam, help me. I'm in pain. Imam Hussain came rushing towards him to save him, but he was too badly injured. And then he was like, how did I fight? Did I do good? He said, yes, you did good. And he started hugging him. He said, this is a hard day for your uncle. This is a hard day for your uncle. May Allah deprive the blessings from those who've killed you. اللهم اجعل حياتنا حياة محمد وآل محمد ومماتنا ممات محمد وآل محمد واتنا في الدنيا زيارة محمد وآل محمد وفي الآخرة شفاعة محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد